How's it going? Here's another episode with the Black Bass Fisherman. And today we're doing an episode and a video on small pond bass fishing. Now you can catch a lot of good quality bass in small ponds. So right here I want you to take a look at some of the lures that I'm going to be using in the video for small ponds. And as you can see, I've got a little bit of lures out, not a bunch of stuff out, just 3 packs of different worms, drop shot stuff, hooks, weights, spinnerbaits, crankbaits, and swimbaits. So, basically, what you're going to want first when you go to a bass pond is a small tackle box. And as you can see, this tackle box is tiny. I mean, I bought this at the Dollar Tree for $1. And you can see the inside of it's not real deep. And it's a little cheap tackle box. And all the stuff I just showed you fits right in here. So once again, when you go to a small bass pond, you don't want to bring a 5 to 10 pound tackle box or a 5 to 10 pound backpack. Just pick up something really small that you could throw about 8 to 10 baits in, maybe 12 to 15 that'll all fit in a small tackle box. And the rod you want to use is a 6 foot to a 6'6", medium light to medium action. You don't need nothing heavier than that. Medium light to medium action. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to try out your search baits. Now my search baits that I use are basically crankbaits and swim baits. So these are small Strike King bluegill pattern, and this is a small, I believe it's a 1.5 or a 2.5. Ponds aren't that deep, so you want something that's going to dive 1 to 6 feet, 1 to 8 feet. And the other ones I use are small swim baits. This is only a 3-inch swim bait, and it's made by Spoiler Shad, Creme, 3-inch swim baits. And here's another 3-inch swim baits, and that's more of a fire tiger color. And the pound line you're going to be using in a pond is 6 to 8. And I don't get into a lot of fluorocarbon or copolymer or braid. I use standard Berkley Trilene 8-pound test XT. Now, what you're going to want to do in small ponds, you're going to be matching what's in the pond. So a lot of small ponds don't have shad in them. They have small bluegills, small minnows, and crayfish. And this is a small little Rapala crayfish lure. It's a little crankbait that dives down to about 6 feet, and it's jointed. So it's got a lot of action on it. And you also want to use a little minnow pattern. This is only a 1/4 ounce Strike King lipless crankbait. And as you can see, it's got the red eyes in there and the little dot. And this represents a lot of the minnows that are in a pond. Now the next thing you're going to want to do is get a pack of hooks. And the hooks I use are basically the Bass Pro Shops XPS 3-aught hooks. And these are a wonderful price. I think I only paid $5, and you get a pack of 25 hooks. And these are the hooks. They're made by Bass Pro Shops XPS Magnum Wide Gap hooks, 3-aught. And it's a little 3-aught hook, as you can see. And what I use with these is I use the Gary Yamamoto standard 5 to 6 inch sinker, and I rig it Texas style. Or I'll use the Berkley Powerbait, a 7-inch power worm. And I'll use that on the Texas rig 3-aught hook. And these It's a ribbon tail worm, as you can see. It's got the little ribbon tail. Gives it a lot of action in a bass pond. That tail goes crazy when you jig it and reel it in. And what I'm using on that are small weights. A little 1/8 ounce bullet sinker. I'll go as heavy as a 3/8 ounce bullet sinker, and this one's a red color. I normally use just grays, blacks, and reds in small ponds most of the time. Now, if I'm drop shotting, I use a small size 2 hook, and this is made by Mustad. It's a small size 2 drop shot hook, and what I like about these is they've got the little rings. You can't really see it, but it's got a little tiny ring that you tie to, and it's a tiny little drop shot hook. If you could see that, it's a size 2 hook, and it's got a ring. It's got basically a swivel in between that you tie your line to, and the bottom half of the ring you make a small 1.5 to 2 foot leader and tie your line on that and the weight at the bottom. And like I said, once again, this is called a 0 twist shot drop shot hook setup, size 2, made by Mustad. And for the drop shots, I like to use the Berkley Powerbait 4-inch power worm. For my pond fishing, I like to use a lot of Berkley Powerbait products or Gamakatsu. So that's the Berkley Powerbait. And it's a small little drop shot worm. If you could see that, it's about 4.5 inches, 4 inches. And this is the watermelon candy color. I love this color in ponds. It has a lot of action with the tail that moves around. And it's got like candy colors in the worm. And what I'll throw this on is a 3/16 ounce round, 3/16 ounce round drop shot weight. And let me get this back in there. So yeah, here's your little drop shot weight. It's just a little 3/16 ounce cannonball. That's what I call them. And I don't know if you can see it, but it's got the little keeper in there for the line. The little keeper. And once again, these are made by Eagle Claw. So here's the package for the drop shot weights. I would use anywhere from a 1/8 all the way up to a 3/8, and sometimes even a 1/16 if you really want to get creative with it. So next thing we're going to talk about is a chatterbait. And you want 1 chatterbait to 2 chatterbaits, just 1 or 2, in your tackle box for the pond. And I use, this is more of a brown color, which will represent a crawfish, maybe a bluegill, made by Revenge. And once again, I use a 1/4 ounce chatterbait. And you can use them in shad colors, or you can use them in bluegill colors. If you're going to a pond, I would stick with a bluegill colored chatterbait, or a shad, or a minnow, or a crappie colored chatterbait. And I throw also small spinnerbaits. You can look at that. That's a little 1/4 ounce spinnerbait. So that's why you got to use light line and a medium light rod or a medium action to throw these. 6 to 8 pound tests, Berkley Trilene XT. And I also use a Crawdad color. Now this is I believe this is a 3/8 Crawdad color. It's called a midnight special. And what I like about this is if you turn it over, this has a little rattle in it. You see that little tube by the hook? There's a little rattle in it that when you're reeling this in, it makes noise. It's not only the vibration of the blade spinning and the flash, it's got a little rattle in it. And this is called a Midnight Special, 1/4 ounce. So that's basically all you need for pond bass fishing. Remember to stay small. I mean, you see the size of this little tackle box. And all of that stuff that we just went over will fit in here. And it literally weighs about 1.5 pounds once everything's in there. So I want to thank you again and tuning in with the Black Bass Fisherman. And once again, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. So if this video was helpful for you pond bass fishing, let me know. And I'll catch you next time on the Black Bass Fisherman. Thanks for joining in.